What happens when a single moment of weakness, a fleeting touch in a hidden corner, unravels your entire life? One man, one night, one choice, caught on camera for the world to judge. Would you risk it all for a stranger's glance? The air hums with laughter, clinking glasses, and secrets waiting to spill. Daniel, a charming bartender, weaves through the crowd, his smile a mask for a restless heart. Tonight, the bar pulses with energy, but his eyes catch hers, a woman in a red dress, alone at the counter. She's magnetic, her gaze a quiet dare. "Can you help me?" she whispers, pointing to her back, a playful smile curling her lips. Daniel's pulse quickens. He's tipsy, the whiskey blurring his edges. The restroom's just steps away, a shadowed escape from the noise. He follows her, drawn by a heat he can't name. The door clicks shut, and her fingers graze his. It's a spark, reckless and alive. He doesn't know her name, her life, or the ring glinting on her finger. In this moment, nothing else exists, just the pull, the want, the rush. But high above, a hidden lens hums, capturing every breath, every mistake. Daniel's world is about to fracture, and he doesn't even know it yet. What would you do when desire blinds you to the cost? The footage is cold, unforgiving. Daniel's hands tremble as he scratches her back, her laughter soft but sharp. She leans closer, and he doesn't pull away. It's a dance of whispers, a moment stretched too far. The camera doesn't blink, recording the flush of his cheeks, the way her eyes hold his. Outside, the bar hums on, oblivious. But this isn't just a moment, it's a fuse, lit and burning. Daniel's heart races, not from guilt, but from the thrill of her nearness. He doesn't know she's Elena, wife of a man whose name opens doors and breaks lives. He doesn't know the lens above sees everything. Back home, his phone buzzes with a text from his sister. "You working late?" He doesn't reply. The weight of the night hasn't hit yet. But soon, this grainy clip will leak, spreading like wildfire across screens, stripping him bare before strangers' eyes. When does a private choice become a public shame? And who gets to decide the price of a stolen moment? Elena slips into her house, the red dress now a guilty weight. Her husband, Marcus, sits in his study, his power etched in the lines of his face. He's a man who builds empires, but tonight, his eyes are on her. "Late night?" he asks, voice calm but heavy. She nods, her smile tight, the memory of Daniel's touch still warm. She doesn't know about the camera, but she feels the risk in her bones. Marcus trusts her, or does he? His gaze lingers, searching. Elena's heart twists, caught between the rush of her secret and the life she's built. She loves Marcus, his strength, his ambition, but tonight, she craves something else, something reckless, fleeting. In the restroom, she wasn't a wife, she was alive. Now, guilt creeps in, a shadow she can't shake. The world hasn't seen the footage yet, but it's coming, a tidal wave ready to drown her carefully crafted life. What happens when the person you love most becomes the one you've hurt the deepest? And how do you face yourself in the mirror? The clip hits the internet like a spark in dry grass. Daniel's face, Elena's red dress, pixelated but unmistakable. Blogs churn out headlines, bartender scandal rocks elite circle. Comments flood in, vicious and unrelenting. He knew who she was, one writes. "She's a disgrace," another spits. Daniel stares at his phone, the world spinning. He's no longer just a man, he's a villain in a story he didn't write. At the bar, co-workers avoid his eyes. His boss calls, "You're suspended." The shame burns, but so does the injustice. He didn't know she was married. He didn't know about the camera. Across town, Elena's phone vibrates with notifications. Friends text, horrified. Marcus hasn't seen it yet, but he will. The public's judgment is swift, a blade cutting through their lives. Daniel wanted a moment, now he's a headline. Elena wanted freedom, now she's a target. When the world watches your worst choice, who do you become? And how do you fight a truth that feels like a lie? Daniel's apartment feels smaller tonight, the walls closing in. The mirror reflects a stranger, eyes hollow, jaw tight. The video plays on loop in his mind, her smile, his hands, the moment he lost himself. He didn't mean for this. A scratch on her back, a tipsy laugh. It wasn't supposed to end like this. His phone is silent now, friends have stopped calling. The bar was his life, his charm his currency, but now he's a pariah. He thinks of Elena, wonders if she's drowning too. Does she regret it? Does she blame him? Across town, Marcus watches the footage, his face unreadable. Elena's apologies choke in her throat. The man she loves looks at her like she's a stranger. The public demands punishment, but the real cost is here, in the silence between them, in Daniel's fractured reflection. A single choice has unraveled 3 lives, and the pieces don't fit back together. What do you do when your mistake defines you? And how do you rebuild when the world has already judged? The rain taps a steady rhythm, but Elena barely hears it. Her coffee's gone cold, untouched. Marcus left an hour ago, his silence louder than any words. The footage plays on every screen, a loop of her shame. She sees herself in that restroom, reckless, alive, and hates the woman staring back. Daniel's face haunts her too, a stranger who felt like a spark, now a weight crushing her life. She didn't mean to hurt Marcus, but the truth is a blade, and she's bleeding. Her phone lights up, a friend's message, "How could you?" She doesn't reply. The world's eyes burn, but Marcus's absence cuts deeper. She remembers their vows, his hands steady in hers. Now, that steadiness is gone, replaced by a void she created. Across town, Daniel faces his own ghosts, but Elena's are here, in the quiet of a home that feels foreign. When a fleeting thrill costs you everything, how do you beg for forgiveness? And what do you do when the one you love can't even look at you? The city pulses around Daniel, but he's a shadow among the crowd. Eyes follow him, or maybe it's just his guilt. The videos everywhere, on phones, in whispers. "That's him," someone mutters. He pulls his hood tighter, heart pounding. Last night, he dreamed of the bar, the laughter, the life he had. Now, he's jobless, his name a punchline. He thinks of Elena, wonders if she's as broken as he is. He didn't know her truth, but does it matter? The world's decided his story, a predator, a fool. His sister calls, voice soft but firm, "You're more than this." He wants to believe her, but the mirror says otherwise. Across town, Marcus sits in his office, the video paused on his screen. His power can't erase it. Daniel's just a face in the footage, but to Marcus, he's the man who shattered his trust. The public screams for justice, but Daniel's punishment is this, a life stripped bare, judged by strangers. When a single night redefines you, how do you outrun the shame? And who decides when you've paid enough? Marcus grips the photo, his thumb tracing Elena's smile. It's an old picture, from a time when her laughter was his anchor. Now, that laugh belongs to a stranger in a restroom, caught on grainy film. His colleagues whisper, their pity a sting worse than scorn. He's built empires, but this, he can't control. The video plays in his mind, Daniel's hands, Elena's eyes. He wonders what he missed, what he failed to give her. Was it love? Freedom? The weight of his name? He hasn't spoken to her since last night, can't find the words. His heart battles rage and grief, a storm he hides behind a steady jaw. Elena's texts sit unread, "I'm sorry." Sorry doesn't erase the footage, the headlines, the fracture in his world. Daniel's a ghost to him, a name in a scandal, but Elena, she was his everything. The public demands he act, but what's the cost of vengeance? When the one you trusted breaks your heart, do you fight to save it? Or do you let the world's judgment burn it all down? The cafe hums with chatter, but Elena feels exposed, like every glance knows her secret. Her friend Lisa sits across, eyes soft but probing. "Why, Elena?" she asks, voice low. Elena's throat tightens. She wants to explain the restlessness, the way Daniel's touch woke something she'd buried. But words fail. She sips her tea, hands shaking. Lisa doesn't judge, but the silence does. The videos spread further, coworkers, neighbors, even strangers at the gym. Elena's not just a wife now, she's the woman in the red dress, a cautionary tale. She thinks of Marcus, his cold distance, and wonders if he'll ever look at her again. Daniel's name lingers too, a man she barely knows, yet tied to her forever by a lens. The public's outrage grows, demanding she pay for her choice. But the real price is here, in the unraveling of her identity. When a moment of weakness becomes your legacy, how do you reclaim yourself? And what do you say when the world's already written your story? The park is alive with kids' laughter, but Daniel's on the fringes, a stranger to joy. He sits on a bench, watching a couple push a stroller, their ease a reminder of what he's lost. The video's taken his job, his friends, his name. He sees Elena's face in his mind, her smile, her daring eyes. He didn't know she was married, but the world doesn't care. His phone buzzes, a reporter, wanting a quote. He deletes it. His sister's words echo, "You're more than this," but he feels less, hollowed out by shame. Across town, Marcus meets with lawyers, weighing options. Sue Daniel? Expose Elena? The public wants blood, but Marcus wants answers. Daniel's just a pawn in their story, yet his life's the one crumbling. He thinks of apologizing, but to who? Elena? Marcus? Himself? The camera caught a moment, but it didn't catch his heart, flawed, reckless, human. When a single act brands you, how do you rewrite the narrative? And what do you hold on to when everything else is gone? The bar sits silent, stools vacant where laughter once spilled. Daniel's absence haunts the space, his charm a memory the regulars avoid mentioning. His co-worker, Sarah, wipes the counter, her eyes heavy with questions. She saw Daniel that night, saw the woman in red, but never imagined this storm. The video's gone viral, a wound that won't close. Sarah texts him, "You okay?" No reply. Daniel's at home, scrolling through hate-filled comments, each one a jab to his gut. He didn't know Elena's life, her vows, but the world paints him as a villain who did. Across town, Elena faces her own ghosts. Marcus hasn't come home, and the house echoes with his absence. She wonders if Daniel feels this weight, this suffocating shame. The public's voice grows louder, demanding punishment, but it's the silence from those they love that cuts deepest. When a fleeting choice becomes a scarlet letter, how do you face the ones who knew you before? And what do you do when your mistake outlives your name? Marcus sits rigid, the lawyer's words a blur. You could sue, she says, for defamation, emotional distress. But no lawsuit can erase the image of Elena's smile in that restroom, or Daniel's hands on her. Marcus's empire thrives on control, but this, he can't fix. The video's a public wound, his pain a spectacle. Colleagues whisper, clients hesitate. He's not just a husband now, he's the man whose wife strayed. He thinks of Elena, her tearful apologies, and wonders if he ever truly knew her. Daniel's a faceless enemy, a bartender who stole a piece of his world. But the real fight is within, love wrestling with hurt. The public clamors for him to act, to punish, but Marcus hesitates. Is it pride? Or fear of losing her completely? Across town, Daniel faces his own reckoning, dodging reporters outside his apartment. When a private moment becomes a public cage, how do you choose between vengeance and healing? And what do you cling to when trust is the first casualty? The church is quiet, a sanctuary from the world's noise. Elena kneels, the weight of her choices pressing down. Candlelight dances, but it can't warm the chill in her heart. She sees Daniel's face, feels the thrill of that night, and hates herself for it. Marcus's silence is a wall she can't climb. She whispers a prayer, not for forgiveness, but for clarity. Was it rebellion? Loneliness? The videos exposed her, but the truth is messier than the headlines. She's not the woman in red, not entirely, she's a wife, a dreamer, a soul unraveling. Outside, the world judges, but here, she's just Elena, pleading for a way back. Daniel, too, seeks answers, staring at his phone, a message to Elena unsent. Did you know it would end like this? The public's outrage grows, but it's the private losses, trust, love, self, that scar deepest. When a single act fractures your world, how do you find the pieces? And what do you pray for when you're the one who broke the vow? The diner's hum can't drown out Daniel's thoughts. His sister, Mia, sits across, her eyes fierce with love and frustration. You're not this guy, she says, gesturing to his phone, where the video's still trending. Daniel shrugs, the weight of judgment crushing him. He didn't know Elena was married, but the world doesn't care. His life, his job, his friends, slipped away in a single night. Mia reaches for his hand, but he pulls back, ashamed. He sees Elena's face, her daring smile, and wonders if she's suffering too. Across town, Marcus watches Elena sleep, her face soft but distant. The public demands he leave her, but his heart fights to stay. Daniel's just a name in their story, yet his life's the one in ruins. Mia's voice cuts through, fight for yourself, Dan. But how? The camera caught a moment, not his truth. When the world brands you a mistake, how do you prove you're more? And what do you do when the one who sparked it all remains a shadow in your mind? Headlines scream from the newsstand, elite wife's secret shame. Elena's face, Daniel's too, splashed across tabloids. The city buzzes with gossip, strangers picking apart their lives. Elena walks past, head down, the weight of eyes unbearable. She thinks of Marcus, his cold distance, and wonders if love can survive this. Daniel, meanwhile, faces a different fire. His landlord's knocking, bills piling up, his name toxic. He didn't know her ring, her world, but the public's verdict is final. A stranger's comment online stings. He ruined a marriage. Did he? Or was it Elena's choice? Marcus, in his office, sees the headlines too. His power can't shield him from the pity, the whispers. The video's a loop of pain, but it's the quiet moments, Elena's empty chair, Daniel's lost future, that hurt most. When a private choice becomes a public trial, how do you hold on to who you are? And what happens when the world's story drowns out your own truth? The suitcase sits open, half-packed, a silent question. Elena's fingers trace a sweater Marcus bought her, its softness a reminder of warmer days. She hasn't seen him since yesterday, his absence a wound that festers. The video's everywhere, a cruel mirror of her reckless choice. She sees Daniel's face in her mind, his easy smile, and feels a pang. Not love, but regret for the spark that burned her world down. The public's voice is relentless, branding her a villain, a wife who strayed. But it's Marcus's silence that breaks her. She wants to call Daniel, to ask if he's drowning too, but what would she say? Across town, Daniel faces his own ghosts, dodging glares in a grocery store. His life's unraveling, thread by thread, because of a moment he didn't fully choose. The world demands punishment, but Elena's paying in private, her home, her heart, her identity crumbling. When a single night steals your future, how do you decide what to carry forward? And what do you leave behind when love feels like a stranger? The motel room smells of stale smoke, the TV flickering with a talk show dissecting Daniel's life. He knew, the host insists, as if Daniel planned to shatter a marriage. He mutes it, the silence heavier than the noise. His apartment's gone, his savings drained. The video's taken everything, his job, his friends, his name. He thinks of Elena, her red dress, her laugh, and wonders if she's as lost as he is. He didn't know about Marcus, but the world's decided he's the thief. His sister's last call echoes, "You're not this mistake." But who is he now? Across town, Marcus sits in a bar, not drinking, just staring at his wedding ring. The public wants him to lash out, to destroy Daniel, but it's Elena he sees in every shadow. Daniel's just a face in the footage, a man who stumbled into their story. The real pain is the trust that's gone. When a moment rewrites your life, how do you find your way back? And what do you do when the world's judgment feels truer than your own heart? The city glitters below, but Marcus feels no spark. The rooftop's quiet, a rare escape from the headlines and whispers. He clutches his phone, Elena's unanswered messages glowing. "I love you," she wrote, but the words feel hollow after the video. He sees her in that restroom, alive in a way she hasn't been with him. Daniel's a stranger, yet his touch haunts Marcus's dreams. He's built a life of power, but this, love, trust, truth, slips through his fingers. The public urges him to act, to punish, but what does that heal? Elena's at home, waiting, her suitcase a question he's not ready to answer. Daniel, meanwhile, hides in a motel, his own life a wreckage. Marcus wonders if he's the villain in their story, or just another victim. The world watches, waiting for his move, but he's paralyzed by loss. When a private wound becomes a public stage, how do you choose your next step? And what do you do when the one you love feels like a ghost in your own life? The therapist's office is soft, neutral, but Elena's voice shakes as she speaks. "I didn't mean to hurt him," she says, tears brimming. She describes the restlessness, the way Daniel's touch felt like freedom, not a trap. The videos turned her into a caricature, a woman in red who broke a vow. But she's more: daughter, friend, wife. The therapist asks, "What did you want?" Elena pauses, lost. She wanted to feel alive, not to destroy Marcus. Now, his silence is a wall, and the public scorn a mirror she can't escape. Daniel's name lingers, a stranger tied to her forever by a hidden lens. Across town, Daniel faces his own reckoning, a job interview cut short when his name sparks recognition. The world's moved on, but their lives are stuck, replaying that night. Elena wants to reach out, to apologize, but to who? Marcus? Daniel? Herself? When a fleeting choice defines you, how do you explain your heart? And what do you do when the truth feels too heavy to carry alone? Daniel's pen scratches the notebook, words he'll never send. "I didn't know," he writes, as if explaining to Elena could erase the fallout. The park's alive with joggers, kids, life, but he's outside it, a man marked by a single night. The video's a chain, binding him to a story he didn't write. He sees Elena's face, her daring eyes, and wonders if she's as broken as he is. His sister's voice haunts him, "You're enough." But the world disagrees, its judgment a weight he can't shake. Across town, Marcus meets a friend, dodging questions about Elena. The public wants drama, but Marcus wants peace, a way to love her again, or let her go. Daniel's just a shadow in their story, yet his life's the one in ruins. The notebook fills with regrets, but no answers. When a moment steals your future, how do you reclaim your name? And what do you write when the world's already decided who you are? The market hums with vendors and chatter, but Elena feels like a ghost. She weaves through stalls, her scarf shielding her face from glances that might recognize her. The videos faded from some feeds, but not from her mind. She sees Daniel's hesitant smile, feels the thrill of that reckless night, and winces at the cost. Marcus hasn't spoken in days, his absence a wound she can't mend. She wonders if Daniel's hiding too, his life as fractured as hers. The world's moved on to new scandals, but her heart's stuck, replaying the moment she chose herself over her vows. A vendor offers her a peach, his smile kind, unaware. She takes it, craving something simple, untainted. Across town, Daniel faces a mirror, his reflection a stranger. The public's judgment lingers, but it's Marcus's pain, unknown to him, that haunts. When a single choice ripples through lives, how do you stop the waves? And what do you hold on to when even kindness feels like a reminder of what you've lost? The job center's fluorescent lights hum, a cold backdrop to Daniel's frayed nerves. He scribbles his name on a form, hesitating at previous employment. The bar's gone, his reputation a casualty of the video. The clerk glances up, her eyes narrowing. Does she know? Daniel's stomach twists. He didn't plan to hurt anyone, didn't know Elena's truth, but the world's verdict is merciless. He thinks of her, wonders if she's as trapped by that night. His sister's words echo, "Keep going." But where? No one hires a headline. Across town, Marcus sits in a boardroom, his power intact but hollow. Elena's apology sits unread on his phone. He sees Daniel's face in the footage, a man who stole a moment, not a life. Yet the pain is real, a crack in his foundation. The public's moved on, but Daniel's still running, Elena's still breaking, and Marcus is lost. When a moment's mistake becomes your identity, how do you start over? And what do you do when every step feels like a fall? The gala sparkles, chandeliers casting light on polished smiles. Marcus plays the part, handshakes, charm, but his mind's on Elena. The video's faded from headlines, but not from his heart. He sees her in that red dress, not his wife, but a stranger chasing a thrill. Daniel's name is a shadow, a man he'll never meet but can't forget. The crowd toasts his success, unaware of the fracture beneath his suit. Elena's at home, her suitcase still packed, waiting for a sign he'll stay. She doesn't know he's drowning too, caught between love and pride. Daniel, meanwhile, faces another rejection, his name a curse in every interview. The world's forgotten, but their lives haven't moved on. Marcus grips his glass, wondering if he can forgive, or if forgiveness betrays himself. When a private pain lingers in public light, how do you rebuild what's broken? And what do you do when the one you love feels like a stranger wearing your memories? The shelter smells of soup and hope, a refuge from Elena's storm. She ladles stew for strangers, their grateful nods a balm to her guilt. The video's echo lingers, whispers in the grocery store, a coworker's side-eye, but here, she's just Elena, helping. She thinks of Daniel, wonders if he's found a way to breathe again. That night in the restroom feels like another life, a reckless spark that burned her world. Marcus's silence is her punishment, his absence a weight heavier than the public scorn. She wants to call him, to beg, but what words heal a broken trust? Across town, Daniel scribbles in his notebook, a letter to no one, "I'm sorry." He didn't know her ring, her life, but the damage is done. The shelter's warmth can't reach Elena's core, where guilt and longing tangle. When a single choice rewrites your story, how do you find redemption? And what do you do when the one you hurt most is the one you can't live without? The community center's chairs creak under nervous weight. Daniel sits in a circle of strangers, their stories of loss and shame a mirror to his own. He hasn't spoken yet, just listens, his hands clasped tight. The video's faded, but its scars remain, jobless, friendless, a name that draws sneers. He sees Elena's face, her daring smile, and wonders if she's found peace. He didn't mean to break a marriage, didn't know her truth, but the world's judgment is final. Across town, Marcus walks past their home, unable to enter. Elena's inside, waiting, her eyes searching for the man he was. The group leader asks Daniel, "What brought you here?" He hesitates, the words stuck. How do you explain a moment that cost everything? The public's moved on, but Daniel's stuck patching a life torn apart. Elena's guilt, Marcus's pain, his own shame, they're bound by that night. When a single act defines you, how do you find your voice again? And what do you say when the truth feels like a confession? The park hums with spring, couples laughing under budding trees, but Elena's alone on a bench, her ring a cold weight. She twists it, remembering Marcus's smile when he slid it on her finger. Now, his face is a mask of hurt, their home a battlefield of silence. The video's fading from public view, but its echo lingers in her heart. She sees Daniel's hesitant touch, feels the thrill that cost her everything. Was it worth it? She wonders if he's as lost, hiding from a world that judged them both. A jogger glances her way, does she know? Elena's breath catches. Across town, Daniel faces another dead-end job lead, his name a stain no resume can hide. Marcus, meanwhile, stares at case files, avoiding home. The public's moved on, but their lives are frozen, tethered to that restroom lens. Elena clutches her ring, unsure if it's a promise or a chain. When a fleeting moment fractures your forever, how do you choose what to hold? And what do you do when love feels like a memory you can't trust? The library's quiet, a refuge from the noise of Daniel's life. He flips through a book on forgiveness, its words blurring under tired eyes. The video's grip is loosening, but his world's still in pieces. No job, no home, just a backpack and his sister's couch. He sees Elena's smile, hears her laugh, and wonders if she's rebuilding or breaking. He didn't know her ring, her life, but the world branded him the wrecker. A librarian passes, her glance neutral, a rare mercy. Daniel writes in his notebook, "I'm more than that night." But is he? Across town, Marcus meets a colleague who asks about Elena, his voice careful. Marcus deflects, but the question stings. He sees Daniel as a shadow, not a man, yet the pain is real. Elena's texts pile up, unanswered. The public's forgotten, but Daniel's still running, his future a blank page. When a single choice steals your name, how do you write a new story? And what do you do when the past feels truer than the present? The coffee shop buzzes, but Marcus is alone with his thoughts, Elena's name glowing on his screen. He hasn't called, hasn't answered her pleas. The video's a ghost now, fading from feeds, but it lives in his chest, a wound that won't close. He sees her in that restroom, alive in a way he hasn't seen in years. Daniel's just a face, a stranger who touched his world and left it cracked. Marcus wonders what Elena chased that night, freedom, fire, or something he couldn't give. The barista calls his name, snapping him back. He's powerful, untouchable, but not here, not now. Across town, Elena folds laundry, each shirt a reminder of their life before. Daniel, meanwhile, faces another rejection, his name a curse. The public's moved on, but Marcus's heart hasn't. He hovers over, call, torn between love and pride. When a moment shakes your foundation, how do you choose to rebuild? And what do you do when the one you love feels like a puzzle you can't solve? Elena sits on her friend's couch, a blanket draped over her shoulders like armor. Her friend, Claire, listens, her eyes soft but unflinching. "I didn't want to hurt him," Elena whispers, her voice cracking. She describes the restlessness, the way Daniel's touch felt like a spark she'd forgotten. The video's fading, but its shadow lingers, coworkers' whispers, neighbors' glances. Claire asks, "Do you still love Marcus?" Elena's silence is her answer, heavy with doubt. She sees Daniel's face, wonders if he's as haunted. She didn't mean to break a vow, but the pieces are scattered. Across town, Daniel walks past the bar, its lights dim, his old life a ghost. Marcus, meanwhile, sits in his car, staring at their home. The public's forgotten, but Elena's heart is a battlefield, torn between guilt and longing. When a single night redefines you, how do you face the ones who still see the old you? And what do you say when love feels like a promise you're not sure you can keep? The train station hums with goodbyes, but Daniel's not leaving, not yet. He watches a train pull away, its rhythm a mirror to his racing heart. The video's a fading echo, but his life's still derailed. No job, no plan, just a notebook of regrets. He sees Elena's eyes, her daring smile, and wonders if she's as trapped. He didn't know her truth, but the world's made him the villain. A stranger's glance makes him flinch, do they know? His sister's voice lingers, "You're enough." But he feels like nothing. Across town, Marcus stands outside their home, key in hand, unable to enter. Elena's inside, waiting, her heart a tangle of hope and fear. The public's moved on, but Daniel's stuck, each departure a reminder of a life he can't reclaim. He writes, "I'm sorry," to no one, the words a weight he carries alone. When a moment's choice becomes your legacy, how do you find a new path? And what do you do when the past pulls harder than the future? The bookstore's quiet hum wraps Elena like a shield, but her thoughts are loud. She schemes a novel about broken promises, each word a mirror to her guilt. The video's grip on the world is loosening, but not on her. She sees Daniel's hesitant touch, feels the thrill that sparked her fall. Marcus's silence is a chasm now, his absence heavier than any headline. She wonders if Daniel's life is as shattered, if he carries the same shame. A customer brushes past, unaware of her story, and she envies their ignorance. Across town, Daniel faces a pawn shop, trading his watch for rent money. Marcus, meanwhile, sits in his office, staring at a photo of their wedding. The public's forgotten, but Elena's heart hasn't. Each page she turns a reminder of the vows she broke. She wants to call Marcus, to beg for a chance, but fear stops her. When a fleeting choice scars your soul, how do you find the words to heal? And what do you do when the one you love feels like a story you can't finish? The bus rumbles through the city, its rhythm a faint comfort to Daniel. He stares out, faces blurring, each one a potential judge. The video's fading from feeds, but its weight clings. No job, no home, just a backpack and his sister's faith. He sees Elena's smile, her red dress, and wonders if she's as lost. He didn't know her ring, her world, but the world's made him the thief. A passenger glances over, and Daniel's heart skips. Do they recognize him? His notebook sits heavy in his pocket, filled with unsent apologies. Across town, Marcus meets a lawyer, discussing separation, the word cutting deeper than he expected. Elena's at home, folding his shirts, each one a plea for him to stay. The public's moved on, but Daniel's life is a loop, stuck on that night. He wants to run, to start over, but where? When a single moment brands you, how do you outrun its shadow? And what do you do when the truth feels like a sentence you can't escape? The park's alive with spring, but Marcus feels winter in his bones. He watches a couple argue, their voices sharp, and sees himself and Elena in their anger. The video's a ghost now, but its pain is fresh, her laugh in that restroom, Daniel's hands. He wonders what she chased that night, what he failed to give. His empire thrives, but his heart's crumbling. Elena's texts glow on his phone, unanswered, each one a tug between love and hurt. He sees Daniel as a shadow, not a man, yet the wound is real. Across town, Elena volunteers at a shelter, seeking redemption in strangers' gratitude. Daniel, meanwhile, faces another rejection, his name a barrier no skill can break. The public's forgotten, but Marcus's world is stuck, replaying a moment he can't erase. He wants to go home, to hold Elena, but pride holds him back. When a private wound festers in silence, how do you choose forgiveness over pain? And what do you do when love feels like a battle you're not sure you can win? The coffee shop's warmth can't touch Elena's chill. She writes to Marcus, her pen shaking, words spilling like tears. I'm sorry, she begins, but it's not enough. The video's fading, but its echo haunts Daniel's touch, her own reckless heart. She sees Marcus's face, his steady love, and hates the woman who risked it all. She wonders if Daniel's is broken, if he carries this weight. The barista's smile is kind, unaware of the storm in her chest. Across town, Daniel walks past the bar, its neon a taunt of his old life. Marcus, meanwhile, sits in his car, staring at their home, her letter waiting inside. The public's moved on, but Elena's pen scratches on, pleading for a chance to rebuild. She wants to call Daniel, to share the guilt, but stops. Some wounds are hers alone. When a single night fractures your life, how do you write your way back to love? And what do you say when the one you hurt is the one you need most? The rooftop bar hums with laughter, but Daniel's a stranger to it. He nurses a soda, the city sprawling below, a map of his losses. The video's a fading scar, but his life's still raw, no job, no future, just a notebook of regrets. He sees Elena's eyes, her daring laugh, and wonders if she's healing or hiding. He didn't know her truth, but the world's made him the villain. A couple nearby toasts, oblivious, and he envies their ease. His sister's voice echoes, "You're more than this." But what? Across town, Marcus walks past their home, key heavy in his hand. Elena's inside, her letter on the table, a plea he's not ready to read. The public's forgotten, but Daniel's stuck, each city light a reminder of a night that stole his name. He wants to write to Elena, to ask if she's okay, but the words won't come. When a moment's choice becomes your cage, how do you find freedom? And what do you do when the past feels like the only truth you know? The ocean roars, its vastness a mirror to Elena's turmoil. She stands on the shore, wind tugging her hair, the weight of her ring a quiet anchor. The video's a whisper now, fading from the world's gaze, but not from her heart. She sees Daniel's fleeting touch, feels the spark that burned her life down. Marcus's silence is a tide pulling her under, his absence louder than any wave. She wonders if Daniel's is adrift, his world is broken by that hidden lens. A gull cries, and she longs for its freedom. Across town, Daniel faces a temp agency, his name a hurdle no charm can clear. Marcus, meanwhile, sits in a boardroom, his power a mask for his pain. Elena kicks off her shoes, steps into the surf, craving a cleanse. The public's forgotten, but her guilt hasn't. She wants to fight for Marcus, for herself, but where to begin? When a single choice drowns your life, how do you swim to shore? And what do you do when love feels like a tide you can't outrun? The church is still, candlelight dancing across Daniel's face. He's not religious, but the quiet offers refuge. The video's a fading echo, but its scars hold tight, no job, no home, just his sister's couch and a notebook of regrets. He sees Elena's smile, her red dress, and wonders if she's as lost. He didn't know her truth, but the world's branded him the wrecker. A hymn plays softly, and he wishes for absolution. His sister's words linger, "You're enough." But he feels empty, hollowed by shame. Across town, Marcus reads Elena's letter, each word a knife. She's at the beach, seeking answers in the waves. The public's moved on, but Daniel's knees press into the pew, seeking something, forgiveness, maybe, or just a way forward. He lights a candle, not for Elena, not for Marcus, but for himself. When a moment's mistake steals your light, how do you find it again? And what do you pray for when the past feels like the only truth left? Marcus grips the steering wheel, their house glowing softly, a beacon he's not ready to enter. Elena's letter sits on the passenger seat, its words a plea he can't yet face. The video's fading, but its image burns, her laugh, Daniel's touch. He wonders what she needed that night, what he couldn't give. His empire thrives, but his heart's a ruin, torn between love and pride. Across town, Daniel kneels in a church, seeking peace Marcus can't find. Elena's at the beach, her footsteps washed away by waves. The public's forgotten, but Marcus's world is stuck, replaying a moment he can't undo. He sees Daniel as a shadow, not a man, yet the pain is real. He wants to go inside, to hold Elena, but fear stops him, fear of her truth, of his own. The car's engine hums, a choice waiting. When a private wound festers in silence, how do you step toward healing? And what do you do when the one you love feels like a stranger in your own home? The community center buzzes with voices, but Elena's focus is on the kids painting at her table. She guides their brushes, her smile a fragile mask. The video's a ghost now, but its weight lingers, Marcus's silence, the world's fleeting scorn. She sees Daniel's face, feels the thrill that shattered her vows. Teaching here feels like redemption, but it's not enough. She wonders if Daniel's found a way to breathe, if his life's as broken. A child hands her a drawing, and she chokes back tears. It's a family, whole. Across town, Daniel lights a candle in a church, seeking something he can't name. Marcus sits outside their home, her letter unread. The public's moved on, but Elena's heart hasn't, each brushstroke a plea for a new start. She wants to call Marcus, to fight for them, but doubt holds her back. When a single night redefines you, how do you paint over the stains? And what do you do when the one you love feels like a dream you can't reclaim? The diner's clatter can't ease the tension as Daniel faces Sarah, his old co-worker. Her eyes are kind but guarded. "You didn't deserve this," she says, but the words feel hollow. The video's fading, but its scars are deep, no job, no future, just a name that draws whispers. He sees Elena's laugh, her daring eyes, and wonders if she's as trapped. He didn't know her truth, but the world's made him the villain. Sarah asks, "What's next?" He shrugs, his notebook heavy with unsent words. Across town, Marcus holds Elena's letter, his heart warring with pride. Elena's at the community center, teaching, seeking light. The public's forgotten, but Daniel's life is a shadow, each glance a reminder of that night. He wants to apologize, to Elena, to Marcus, to himself, but where to begin? When a moment's choice becomes your prison, how do you break free? And what do you do when the past feels like the only story you'll ever tell? Elena sits cross-legged on her bed, old photos scattered like fragments of a life she's losing. She traces Marcus's smile in a snapshot, their honeymoon glow now a distant ache. The video's a fading whisper, but its damage lingers, his silence, her guilt. She sees Daniel's hesitant touch, feels the spark that burned her world. She wonders if he's as broken, if he carries this weight. A tear stains the photo, blurring Marcus's face. She wants to call him, to beg, but fear chokes her. Across town, Daniel faces a mirror, his reflection a stranger marked by shame. Marcus, meanwhile, sits in a hotel, avoiding home, her letter crumpled in his pocket. The public's moved on, but Elena's heart is stuck, each photo a reminder of vows she shattered. She clutches one, whispering, "I'm sorry," to no one. When a single night steals your past, how do you reclaim the future? And what do you do when love feels like a memory you're not allowed to keep? The job fair buzzes with opportunity, but Daniel feels like an outsider. He grips his resume, his name a weight that sinks every handshake. The video's a ghost now, but its scars hold tight, no job, no home, just his sister's couch and fading hope. He sees Elena's smile, her red dress, and wonders if she's as lost. He didn't know her truth, but the world's made him the villain. A recruiter's glance hardens. Does she know? Daniel's stomach twists. His sister's voice echoes, "Keep trying." But each rejection feels like proof he's nothing. Across town, Marcus sits in a hotel, Elena's letter unread, his heart torn. Elena's at home, surrounded by photos, drowning in regret. The public's forgotten, but Daniel's life is a loop, stuck on that night. He wants to start over, but his name's a chain. When a moment's choice becomes your shadow, how do you step into the light? And what do you do when every door feels locked by a past you can't escape? The bar's low hum can't drown Marcus's thoughts. He twists his wedding ring, its shine dulled by doubt. The video's fading, but its image burns, Elena's laugh, Daniel's touch. He wonders what she needed that night, what he couldn't give. His empire stands strong, but his heart's crumbling, caught between love and pain. A bartender offers a refill, Marcus waves it away. He sees Daniel as a shadow, not a man, yet the wound is real. Elena's letter sits in his pocket, its words a risk he's not ready to face. Across town, Elena sorts photos, each one a stab of guilt. Daniel, meanwhile, faces another rejection, his name a curse. The public's moved on, but Marcus's world is frozen, replaying a moment he can't erase. He wants to go home, to hold Elena, but pride holds him back. When a private wound lingers in silence, how do you choose between anger and love? And what do you do when the one you vowed to cherish feels like a stranger in your heart? The park's calm, ducks gliding across the pond, but Elena's heart churns. She tosses bread crumbs, each one a small act of care in a life fraying at the edges. The video's a faint echo, but its weight remains, Marcus's silence, her own regret. She sees Daniel's face, feels the thrill that broke her world. She wonders if he's as haunted, if his life's as undone. A child laughs nearby, and she envies their lightness. She wants to call Marcus, to fight for them, but his absence feels final. Across town, Daniel faces a job fair, his hope thinning with each rejection. Marcus sits in a bar, his ring a heavy choice. The public's forgotten, but Elena's stuck, each crumb a wish for redemption. She whispers to the ducks, "I didn't mean it," as if they could carry her apology. When a single night fractures your life, how do you find peace in the pieces? And what do you do when the one you love feels like a shore you can't reach? The coffee shop's chatter fades as Daniel writes, his pen trembling. "I'm sorry," he begins, to Elena, to Marcus, to himself. The video's a shadow now, but its scars are deep. No job, no future, just a notebook of regrets. He sees Elena's daring eyes, hears her laugh, and wonders if she's as trapped. He didn't know her truth, but the world's made him the thief. A barista's smile is kind, unaware of his story, and he clings to it. His sister's words echo, "You're more." But he feels less, hollowed by shame. Across town, Marcus twists his ring, Elena's letter burning in his pocket. Elena feeds ducks, seeking peace in a fractured life. The public's moved on, but Daniel's pen scratches on, a plea for forgiveness he may never send. When a moment's choice becomes your cage, how do you write your way free? And what do you say when the past feels like the only truth you'll ever know? The garden's hush wraps Elena, the snip of her shears a small act of control. Roses bloom, vibrant against her heavy heart. The video's a faint scar now, but its sting lingers, Marcus's silence, her own guilt. She sees Daniel's hesitant smile, feels the spark that shattered her vows. She wonders if he's as broken, if his life's as unmoored. A thorn pricks her finger, blood welling, a sharp reminder of her choices. She wants to call Marcus, to bridge the chasm, but his absence feels like a verdict. Across town, Daniel writes in a coffee shop, his words a plea for forgiveness. Marcus, meanwhile, sits in a hotel, Elena's letter heavy in his hand. The public's forgotten, but Elena's heart is stuck, each rose a wish for redemption. She whispers to the petals, "I still love him," as if they could carry her truth. When a single night cuts so deep, how do you tend the wounds? And what do you do when love feels like a garden you're not sure you can grow? The construction site clangs with hammers, a new start for Daniel, but his heart's still heavy. He hauls bricks, sweat masking his nerves. The video's a fading echo, but its weight clings. No friends, no past, just a hard hat and a chance. He sees Elena's red dress, her daring eyes, and wonders if she's as lost. He didn't know her truth, but the world's branded him the villain. A coworker nods, unaware of his story, and Daniel clings to the anonymity. His sister's voice echoes, "You're enough." But he feels like a shadow, rebuilding from nothing. Across town, Elena prunes roses, seeking peace. Marcus sits with her letter, his heart torn between love and pride. The public's moved on, but Daniel's life is raw, each brick a step towards something new. He wants to write to Elena, to ask if she's okay, but the words won't come. When a moment's choice buries your name, how do you build anew? And what do you do when the past feels like rubble you can't clear? The lake ripples under Marcus's stones, each skip a fleeting escape from his storm. The video's a ghost now, but its pain burns. Elena's laugh, Daniel's touch. He wonders what she chased that night, what he couldn't offer. His Vad's empire stands, but his heart's crumbling, torn between love and hurt. Elena's letter rests in his pocket, unread, a weight he's not ready to carry. Across town, Elena tends roses, her hands stained with regret. Daniel, meanwhile, hauls bricks, building a new life from ashes. The public's forgotten, but Marcus's world is frozen, each stone a question, stay or go? He sees Elena's face, her love, her pain, and feels the fracture. He wants to hold her, but pride holds him back. The lake's calm can't soothe his soul. When a private wound lingers in silence, how do you choose between anger and love? And what do you do when the one you vowed to cherish feels like a stranger on the shore? The support group's circle is quiet, their eyes soft as Elena speaks. "I broke everything," she whispers, her voice raw. The video's a shadow, but its scars remain, Marcus's silence, her shattered vows. She describes the restlessness, Daniel's touch, the thrill that cost her life. She wonders if he's as haunted, if his heart's as heavy. A woman squeezes her hand, a small anchor in the storm. Elena wants to call Marcus, to beg, but fear stops her. Across town, Daniel lays bricks, his hands steady but his soul shaken. Marcus skips stones, wrestling with her letter. The public's forgotten, but Elena's voice trembles, each word a step toward healing. She sees their wedding, feels his love, and aches for what's lost. The group listens, their silence a rare kindness. When a single night fractures your world, how do you find your voice again? And what do you say when the one you love feels like a dream you can't reclaim? The city sparkles below, but Daniel's eyes are on the horizon. The rooftop's breeze carries hope, faint but real. The video's a whisper now, its scars fading as he lays bricks, rebuilding his life. He sees Elena's smile, her daring eyes, and wonders if she's finding peace. He didn't know her truth, but the world's judgment lingers. His sister's words echo, "You're more." For the first time, he believes it. Across town, Marcus holds Elena's letter, his heart thawing. Elena shares her story in a group, her voice stronger. The public's forgotten, but Daniel's rooftop moment is his own, a vow to move forward. He writes in his notebook, not an apology, but a plan, a future. The city hums, unaware of his quiet victory. When a moment's choice becomes your past, how do you claim a new dawn? And what do you do when the light ahead feels like the first truth you've known?